Hello everyone, Neo Rashi here. I'm making this video because yesterday I reached 1,000 books. How I make monthly videos showing all my manga and light novels? Well, yesterday I was at 996 and I bought 4 and now I'm at 1,000. I asked a couple friends what I should do. I was actually considering making my monthly video like 2 weeks early, but uh, I was suggested to make a like top 25 or something of uh, the series that I own, like only the series that I own. So if I watched an anime that I don't have the manga, it won't count, even if it's in my like top 5 series of all time, which is actually the case for Place Further Than the Universe. It's like my third favorite series of all time, but I don't have any of the manga, so this series won't show up on this video. Anyway, I decided to separate this into section. I'm going to go with my top 5 light novels first, and then top 25 manga. And as I show my my favorite series, I'm going to show you my favorite volume of each series. So it won't be like all volume ones. Some of them will be, but not all of them. Anyway, uh, let's get this show on the road and start with my top 5 light novel. At number 5, I think I'm going to go with Blooming to You regarding Saiki Sayaka. It's one of my first, and it's actually my second light novel that I started back in February 2021, and definitely the first volume specifically definitely shows us, makes us understand Sayaka's like behavior, if we can say, in the main series. At fourth place, I'm going to go with Wandering Witch: The Journey of Elena. Volume 5 was by not that not that great of a margin, the best volume. I think 1 and 4 were almost as good. I actually had trouble choosing which of these were my favorite volume. At number 3, I'm going with Kuma 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 Bear. Favorite volume is, again, almost a tie between volume 1 and 2. Well, I think volume 2 is better because it has more humor, actually. I kind of like when these kind of story has humor, especially since I'm not a huge fan of isekai, usually. Second place, I'm going to go with Dachin Shimamura, which is my first ever Japanese light novel that I read. Also one, not the first, but one of the first Yuri I have watched in anime form, and I'd say probably in my first 5 or so Yuri series overall that I watched. And Volume 7 is my favorite, mainly for the first half. The first half is both cute and it's cute and funny at the same time. If you read Volume 6, you probably understand why I think Volume 7 is one of my favorite. And first place goes to Bofuri. I don't want to get hurt, so I'll max out my defense. I watched the first season of the anime. I actually have the collector's edition of the first season Blu-ray. I'd say that light novel is extremely good, better than the manga actually. I would definitely suggest reading the light novel over the manga. The manga is still very good, but light novel is even better. All right, so let's start with the manga. For the manga, I'm going to try to go a bit faster, except maybe for the top 10, because I don't want this video to last like 45 minutes. So again, same concept. I'm going to show you my favorite volume of each series. And at 25th place, I'm going with Hina Matsuri, with volume 8 being my favorite. mostly because of it has one of the best, if not the best, uh, Itomi. I think it was Itomi. Yeah, I have a hard time remembering the name of the character, but it has my favorite Itomi chapter. At number 24, I have A Sign of Affection, and I'll be honest with you, it's really hard to make a top 25 when you have like over 100 series. So some of them might change. If I make another of these videos, some of them will definitely change by the time I make a new video. Even if I don't change, like even if I don't add too many new series in my top 25. Anyway, Volume 3 is the best. I'm not gonna spoil it, but it's because let's just say it's one of the moments that most rom-com enjoyer usually waits for. At number 23, I believe. Is it 23? Yeah, it is 23. I'm already having trouble counting. Futaribaya, A Room for Two. I'm putting it this low mostly because I actually don't know. I have too many series I like. But Volume 6 has been my favorite so far. Although Volume 1, I think Volume 1 is a very like close second place. At number 22, I have Happy Sugar Life, which happens to be in my top 5 favorite discovery of 2021. I discovered this in March 2021. Definitely one of my favorite Yuri that I discovered in 2021. Volume 5 is my favorite. Those who read Volume 5 probably know why. It's for a pretty disturbing reason, if you know what the series is about. But it was so shocking that I couldn't hate it. If that makes sense. At number 21, I'm going to go with Flying Witch, which is one of the most, probably the most chill story featuring like magic users. Volume 8 was by a fair margin my favorite, but the whole series overall is pretty good. At number 20, if I counted right, I have Yuri is My Job, and Volume 6 was definitely my favorite. Again, those who read this probably know why. Well, if they don't know why, they probably can guess why. Anyway, at number, I think we're at 19 now. My Senpai is Annoying. Definitely one of the funniest rom-com. I like how it's in color. And Volume 6 is my favorite so far. Next is one of my French title, L'Appel des Montagnes, or in English, Crossing the Mountain. It's kind of encouragement of climb, except with university students instead of high school and middle schoolers. And there's even a girl who plays a Nintendo Switch. Volume 1 has been my favorite so far, but I haven't read Volume 3 yet. I own Volume 3. But Volume 1 and 2 are really close. But 1 is like just a little bit better. Next is another French title. La Fille du Temple au Chat, or the Japanese title Neko no Otara no Shion-san. I really can't explain why I like this one that much, but I will say that Volume 3 so far has been the best. Next is one of my new acquisition for the month. It's already gotten in my top 25, and it's definitely one of the most chill Yuri I have ever read that involve adult protagonists. The two of them are pretty much like this. If you like Yuri stories, kind of like Futaribaya but with older character, this is definitely something I suggest. The only thing that's shame is that it only has 4 volumes. Volume 1 is out right now in English. Volume 2 releases in about a month. from there, there's only going to be 2 more volumes. This is a really short story. Unlike Futaribeya, which volume 9 released last year in Japan and in 2 months here. Next is a French title again, and one of my newer acquisition as well. I prefer the French name. For some reason, the French name is in English, Love Under Arrest, but you probably know this as My Boy in Blue. This gives me some vibes of Super Gals without like the Gyaru thing, because it involves a teenager falling in love with a policeman, which is a case for one of the main character in Super Gals, and she's one of my favorite characters of that series. So, next is something I actually wouldn't have expect to ever put this, because I usually don't like love stories, including vampire. Like, I don't hate Twilight, but I'm definitely not a fan. So, why Vampire Dormitory is in my top 25? I have no idea. I just happened to find it randomly and I loved it. Volume 3 has been my favorite so far, by a fairly large margin. Just gonna check something. Okay, I'm just gonna do this here. Okay. Next is, I believe, one that no one knows about. I think no Yuri fan knows about this series. Bloom Into You. Never heard of it, right? Nah, just kidding. I don't think this one needs any introduction. Any Yuri fan knows what Bloom Into You is. It's probably one of, if not the most famous and popular Yuri out there. I was really torn between choosing volume 1, 3, 4, or 8 as my favorite, because I like these 4 a lot, but I ended up with volume 8, the final volume, as my favorite. Next would be Gabriel Dropout, which I discovered sometime last year. And volume 6 was my favorite until I read volume 9. Now they're pretty much tied, but I'm going to show volume 9 just because I felt like it. I always says that 6 is my favorite, so I'm gonna give volume 9 some credit for once. Alright, next is Girls Last Door, a series that I literally discovered on Christmas Day last year. So I'm starting a week after, I think on December 31st, I started to order the entire series. So far, I read only 4 of them out of the 6, but Volume 1 has been the best so far. Volume 4 is close behind, though, I'll say. The worst volume has probably been Volume 2 so far, but I say worst, but it was still amazing. Next is Kubo Won't Let Me Be Invisible. Definitely one of the cutest high school rom-com. And I've only read Volume 1 and 2. I do have Volume 3. But Volume 1 has been, by a fair margin, my favorite. I love it. Volume 2 is still really good, though. Alright, so at 11th place, I got my first ever Yuri, like manga and anime combined. Frag Time. This is actually 2 volumes because it's like one of those omnibus that it's a complete collection thing. So I really don't know which one is my favorite, because I know this is 2 volumes, but I read a full thing in one sitting, so I'm just gonna say that both volumes are just as good. Alright, time for the top 10, and I know some of them won't surprise you, especially my probably top 3 or something like that, but yeah. First, I'm going to go with actually what was my first Yuri anime, but I did like the manga as well. Citrus, and by extension Citrus Plus. I'm going to count them as both the same series, even though they're technically 2 different series. I actually don't remember how I came to discover Citrus. I know I just found it on Funimation. Sorry, I was gonna say Anime Planet for some reason, but Funimation, and I've binged watch the whole series. Like, it was one of those days at my job where it was so quiet that I was done with all my tasks within like 3 hours on a 10-hour shift. So I managed to watch 9 episodes at my job without ever like getting a request or call from one of our guests at the place I work at. And as soon as I got home, I watched the other 3 episodes, and I liked it. But my favorite volume goes to somewhere beyond the anime. Anime covers the first 4 volumes. My favorite is volume 6 because of this crap. Like the whole notebook that Yuzu wrote to have to like or plan to get happy with May. And the page I just found, I actually didn't look for it. Like it, I just opened the book and found the right page. I didn't have to look for it. Anyway, um, in ninth place, I'm going to go with the Kase-san series, and again by extension, the sequel series Kase-san and Yamada. Um, I actually discovered this series via the sequel series. Like I was looking for like I think I was looking for a wholesome Yuri series back in late November or early December 2020, and I found Kazasan and Yamada Volume One. That's why it's misleading, because it says Volume One even though it's technically like the sixth book. Um, so yeah, read the first chapter, thought it was really cute, and when I saw that Volume 1 through 5 of the original series and Volume 1 of the sequel series was all out, I decided to try it, and it became, uh, at least in manga form, it became my favorite Yuri. Yeah, I like it a lot. It's cute. It's like there's not too much drama. It's a bit repetitive though, like especially the original series. All volume, especially volume 2 through 5. It's always the same pattern, but I like how like they don't uh, stay on when there's drama happening. It's usually minor, but even when there is drama, they don't like resolve it on another volume. They don't like make us wait. Problem resolved by the end of the volume, and that's something I like in this kind of series. I mean, if it was a series meant to have a lot of drama, I wouldn't have minded they do that. But the fact that the author made it so it's a mostly wholesome series, I like how they did it. Next is Don't Toy With Me, Miss Nagatoro, and this one was really hard for me to choose which one would be my favorite volume, because I like volume 1, 3, 4, 5, 7, and 8. So I went with volume 8, mostly because it's unlike the other volume, which are semi-episodic. This one seems to follow more like a linear storyline, and that's something I really like. There's like eight chapters, 8 or 9 chapters, like most of the other volumes, but this one seems to there's like only 2 or 3 short stories, and that's something I like. And the second story was especially cute. Next, we're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th place. I'm going to go with one of my favorite, but not my favorite, rom-com of all times, Living Room Matsunaga-san. I actually heard about this one over a year ago, but I only decided to try it out a couple months ago. I think it was late spring or early summer. Uh, sorry about that. I thought the idea of a 17 years old girl falling in love with a 27-year-old guy was kind of weird. But then I read the first or two chapters on Manga Dex and thought, okay, that's actually pretty cute as a series. So I tried volume 1 through 5 at the manga store, and now it's one of my favorite rom-com of all times. Next is both a new series and a French one, but you probably know the title. It's also one of my favorite anime of 2021. Super Cub. I was actually surprised that Super Cub is now available in French, and as soon as I saw it, I picked it up immediately. For those who don't know about Super Cub, it's about this girl, Koguma, who her father, I think she's in second year of high school. Her father died about a year prior to the main story, and her mom straight up abandoned her uh, like a couple weeks before the story starts. And I can't show you how her mother abandoned her because in the anime it's not really shown, but in the manga it is. Uh, she just left a note saying Koguma, bye. Koguma is like 15 or 16 years old. Well, she's probably 16 because she has a license to drive a car. So I think in Japan it's minimum 16. So maybe I'm wrong, but still, 16 years old, and her mother straight up abandoned her like that. That's cruel. I mean, it would probably have been less shocking if her mother just died. All right, now we're in the top five, and we start with two French titles. The first being, well, top five. I mean, volume fifth place. Insomniacs After School. I think those who watch my monthly videos know how much I love this series. Volume 5 has been my favorite volume so far, although Volume 1 was a close second place. I mostly try out this series because of the art style. Yeah, sometimes just the art style is enough for me to try out the series, and with this one, it's actually the same reason I tried Neko no Tera no Shion-san, because it's the same mangaka actually, and yeah, I like this series a lot. It's cute. The story is really nice. There are some drama, but it's again like the Kaze-san series, usually contained within a single volume, and yeah, it's just it has the perfect balance of drama, funny, cute. I like it. Speaking of cute, um, fourth place would go to Mon Ami des Ténèbres. I read up to volume 6. I read all volumes that are available in French, at least in Quebec. I have a friend in France. I think he told me that volume 7 is out or is going to be out soon. I'm kind of jealous, to be honest. Volume 5 is the best volume so far, although volume 1, I think volume 1, 4, and 5 were all pretty good, but 5 is by a small margin the best. It's just cute. It's kind of a rom-com, although with elementary school student, they're really young. I think they're like in fifth grade, so that would mean they're like 10 or 11 years old. The art style is simple, like, but it works. I'm not saying it's simple as a bad thing. It actually works to the benefit of this series, which is why as soon as I read Volume 1, it became one of my top 5 manga of all time. Easily. And this is the kind of thing I used to like, and when I used to be into manga and anime almost 20 years ago at this point, I was, while most of my friends were like into shonen stuff, I did like Rurouni Kenshin, I'll be honest. This was one of my favorite manga back then. I was more into shoujo romance, and if this series came out back when I was a teenager, I would probably have never stopped reading manga when I was about 22 years old. Alright, now we come to the top 3, which most of you will not be surprised at all with my top 3. With number 3, I'm going to go with New Game. New Game was my original favorite series of all time. When I was younger, I didn't have a favorite series of all time. I just liked shoujo romance overall. I liked a lot of them. But yeah, New Game is the series, the first series I could say was my favorite series of all time. It is actually the main protagonist, Aoba. She's her. She's still to this day my favorite anime character of all times. Even more so than any of the character in my 2 first places. Volume 11 was my favorite volume, but it was another hard decision to make because volume. Oh boy, there's a lot of volumes that were good. Volume 1, Volume 3, Volume 6, Volume 9, and Volume 11, as well as Volume 13, which is the final volume, were all really good. But I'm going to give an edge to Volume 11 because I'm a perv, and this Volume 11 is the volume that starts with the famous swimsuit chapter, so yeah, I'm gonna give it an edge just because of that. Second place, I'm going to go with Non Non Biori. Yeah, I don't know why. There's a few manga that have covers like this. There's no plot with this series at all, and this is exactly why it's one of my favorite series of all time. It's just a bunch of girls living in the middle of nowhere in Japan, living their life, enjoying their time together, having fun, playing games, playing pranks. Sometimes there's a bit of drama, but it's usually resolved within the same. Well, it's an episodic format, so it's usually resolved by the end of the same chapter. Ironically, my favorite volume is Volume 7, which is probably the only volume except the final volume, Volume 16, which has some kind of a plot. If you watched Non Non Biori Vacation, well, the first half of the of Volume 7 is the Okinawa trip that's shown in the movie. And that's one of the main reasons why it's my favorite, because it was... I actually like... Okinawa is always a place I've been interested in when it comes to Japan. The other places being Hokkaido and Yamanashi. Okinawa is probably in my top 3 or top 5 Japanese prefecture that I want to visit someday, but not for the same reason as most people would visit Okinawa. I'm mostly interested in visiting like the southernmost islands, not the beaches and stuff. I'm actually not really into the ocean. Well, swimming in the ocean and stuff like that. And first, definitely not least, and this will surprise absolutely no one who know me both in person or via YouTube or Discord. Laid Back Camp is my favorite series of all time, both anime and manga. And I will never praise this series enough. Except Volume 12. Volume 12 was a bit disappointing, but like not even remotely enough for me to say, oh, maybe this series is going to be not as good. Especially since one of my friends didn't spoil me, but told me a bit what happened in Volume 13 because he read the scans, and from what he explained to me, Volume 13 is definitely going to be much better than Volume 12, which I found to be the worst volume in the series so far. My favorite volume definitely goes to Volume 1, and specifically to the very, very first chapter. You don't even have to read it, just watch a first episode of the anime. It's actually free on YouTube. You can Crunchyroll actually offers episode 1 for free on their YouTube channel. And yeah, it's by far my favorite episode of all time, favorite chapter of all time. It's both something like that I found uh, impressive visually, as well as a great way to start the series. Anyway, this I just see the timer here and says that I've been talking to you for half an hour now. I think it's about time I wrap this up. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you at the end of the month for my monthly video. Also, I'm going to try something soon. I'll give some news in the community tab of my channel, but I may start doing something a bit more, something manga related. That I'm going to do like maybe weekly or something like that. It's not going to be something big, but I think you should look it up if you like watching my videos, showing my collection and stuff like that. So, yeah, see you next time.